Why did she, 35F, do this to my son, 39M? What was she thinking? I, 61M, am trying to understand what my daughter-in-law was thinking. Please do not focus on what she did, but why she would have done it. Context. My son, 39M, has been married to his second wife, 35F, for 7 years. They each have a child from a previous relationship. Son has a daughter, 16F, full custody, and wife has a son, 11M, partial custody. They also have a son together approximately 20 months old. They are a working couple, but have a good life, with lots of friends, and plenty to be grateful for. I have helped her to start her own side business. The wife met another couple around October of last year. They started spending time together, but wife did not share this with my son. The wife became pregnant November, and let everyone believe that the father was my son. They started having issues during the pregnancy and my son just contributed that to hormonal changes because of the pregnancy. Then she started becoming inconsistent with her activities. She would be gone too long for a shopping trip, she would go to her mom's house, stay for an hour but not return home for 6 hours. She started doing and saying things to try to end the marriage. He spotted her car at a business location where she had no business at, turned around to see what was going on, and she spotted him and jumped back in her car and drove off. It turns out that the other man worked there. The new boy arrived last week, on my father's 90th birthday. We were all so excited, especially the fact that the baby was born on the same day as his great-grandfather. Well, last night she finally started talking and it sounds more like a Jerry Springer episode than real life. Turns out that he has been involved in a truple relationship, not sure if that is what it should be called, but the wife was also part of the relationship, not just the man. With this man and his wife, their ages are close to hers, and they have 5 kids already. This man wanted her to have his baby, and she willingly allowed the couple to artificially inseminate her with his sperm. She isn't denying that they had already been together, but they did this to almost assure pregnancy. I'm not sure what they were thinking the outcome of this would be, but they have devastated my entire family. My son's wife had become the mother that my granddaughter never had. I am absolutely sick to my stomach, broken-hearted for my son, and I have not been able to get the nerve to tell my 90-year-old father. Too long did not read. Daughter-in-law gets involved in a truple relationship and allows the man to inseminate her intentionally. Why? How could she have ever thought that this would end with a positive outcome for anyone involved? FYI, I have no opinion on truples, do your thing. Whatever, but she is married, 7 years, to another person. I wonder if this couple ever thought about what they would do to the rest of her family, especially my 16-year-old granddaughter. I am so sorry, disappointed, what a nightmare. They didn't artificially inseminate. She was having an affair and got knocked up. Hopefully son kicked her to the curb. She's a selfish woman who was after the thrill of that kind of relationship and didn't think at all about the consequences because she literally doesn't care. There's no logic with people like that. Don't rack your brain looking for it because you won't find it. What a nightmare. I feel so sorry for you and your family, especially the children involved. Do you want to know why she would do something like that? I mean, this is just armchair psychiatry at this point. She is definitely not all there if she thought this would end well. It sounds to me like she has some past issues and is self-destructive. Maybe she has some childhood trauma or some other issues that she hasn't told anyone about. This is mad, totally utter madness. If I can be so bold to ask, what is your daughter-in-law doing now? Is she still living in the house with him? Does she realize he will divorce her? My 28 female husband, 29 male, can't have kids. Me and my husband have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've been trying to start a family for a while now but haven't had any luck. I had myself checked and all seems okay. I urged my husband to do the same and he said he would. He went in secret a couple weeks ago and then yesterday took a day off work and went to get the results without me. He came home at about 7 p.m. a little drunk and seemed off. When I pressed him on where he'd been and what he'd been doing, he asked me to sit down and very meekly told me that he had himself checked and it's incredibly unlikely he can have kids. He started getting teary-eyed and very seriously said that if I'd like to leave in light of this new information, he'd understand and wouldn't hold it against me. I didn't realize what he meant at first as the thought to leave hadn't even crossed my mind. Of course this isn't an option I'm even considering. I started trying to reassure him and he just started crying and crying whilst apologizing. Really made me sad to hear him so profusely and sincerely apologizing for something he has no control over. It turns out he got the results early in the day but was too afraid to come home and tell me, so just sat in a pub all day working himself into a panic. The more he sat there, the more he convinced himself I'd leave and the less he wanted to come home. Just imagining him sitting there that scared really breaks my heart whenever I do. He cried into my chest in bed whilst I comforted him for a good while before eventually falling asleep. When we woke up, I asked him how he was feeling and he replied that he feels like he's failed me as a husband and has never felt like less of a man. He wouldn't even look at me, got out of bed and has spent most of the time shut in his office. What are some things I can do to reassure him about these two things? He really is my person, and no matter what, I can't see myself spending my life with anyone else. Whilst the news obviously makes me sad, there are still some options for me. None of those I want to go through without him, so I really need to step up and handle this properly. Thanks in advance. I feel for your husband. I think the best you can do is to be there to listen and reassure like you already have been. It's a shock for both of you and hopefully time will help. You might consider counseling, but be gentle with any suggestions right now. Hoping for the best for both of you. There are tons of ways to have a family. Do some research, talk to some friends who you might know had the same issue. When there is a will, there is a way. Remember, there is nothing wrong with either of you. He can have kids, you just need to a doctor who can put your egg and his sperm together and let God do the rest. You and your husband are going to be okay. Red heart. Go see a doctor together and do what you can. He seems completely emasculated by shooting blanks, but hopefully with kindness you can convoy that it is not the end of the world and that you still love his sperms even if they can't swim so well. With love you can get past this and maybe do IVF and make babies. Unless he is azoospermic, there is stuff that can be done. If he has zero sperm, you start looking at alternative ways to grow your family, with the easiest being sperm donation and the more challenging being adoption. Family is a choice. You and your husband are, hopefully, not blood-related and you are a created family. Give him some time to grieve, gather more data and then proceed on building your family together. Life is complicated, but even when conceiving children seems complicated, I assure you that raising them is where life gets really interesting, and as a woman who spent almost a decade dealing with infertility issues, I assure you my kids were and are totally worth it. Hugs. Make him food and a coffee and knock on his door asking to come in. Tell him he is not less of a man and that he is in fact your man and that you love him with all your heart. I feel for him and you, but all you can do is show him you love him right now. My girlfriend hates my car. There's nothing wrong with it at all. M. 22F. 23. I drive a 1992 Volvo 240 and everything works, including the AC and all that. She drives a 2019 Honda Civic. Is it too much to ask for her to at least ride in my car once with me? She has yet to take any sort of trip in it, and my car is perfectly fine. The same as any other modern car, except it's from 1992. She irrationally hates it only because it's old. She cannot give me any other reason as to why she wouldn't want to ride in it, other than the fact that she believes it's unreliable garbage only because it's from 1992. Should I just leave it be and stop asking? Edit. After reading some of the comments, I understand I left out a lot of details about the car itself, and what my girlfriend thinks about it more specifically, so my apologies. Cold sweat smile. This is a clean 240, but it's not the cleanest. It's completely put together, without rust, and it's all one color. However, it isn't without its flaws once you move in a littler closer. It's not perfect, but it's far from terrible. Face holding back tears. When I offer to take us, I'm always politely turned down, and she has explained things that I should do to the car that would make her consider. It has no tints, and that's one thing she wants it to have. I completely understand this. She still always believes that it might just not start after we park it somewhere, and there's not really much I can explain to her besides, it's gonna turn on again, don't worry, but she won't have faith in it. She's fine in her car, and I'm fine in her car, or in my car. I just think we'd look pretty cool rolling up in my car sometimes. I don't know if it's that she doesn't want to be seen in it, or that she believes it's unsafe. She just thinks the car is going to fall apart from being driven around because it's 31 years old. I just want to compromise, maybe thinking face. Should I just leave it be and stop asking? Yes. From what you've said, it's not like she's not trying to pressure you into buying a new one. She just doesn't like yours and only wants to use hers if y'all go somewhere together. It doesn't negatively affect you at all and probably saves you quite a bit on gas. Let it go. You see people in here with like broken marriages and then this guy goes, should I be upset my girlfriend doesn't like my old car? The same as any other modern car, except it's from 1992. Please explain this line. Lol. Volvo 240 is such a classic, man, they last forever. I think she just feels like it makes her look poor or feel poor. However, I'm not in the US, but I feel like you guys pride yourself on what car you're driving a bit too much. I, 25 male. Know that my classmate, 27F. Cheated on husband, 30 male, while in Australia for study. I, 25 male. Know that my classmate, 27F. Cheated on husband, 30 male, while in Australia for study. I have very mixed feelings about this, so I will anonymize the post and ask what I should do. I feel like no matter what I do, someone is going to be in a bad situation. A girl who we will call Wendy was a classmate of mine. She is a bit older than me and is married with a young baby, less than 1 year old, but her husband, 30-ish, is overseas looking after the baby while she is here finishing her studies. She's kinda abrupt and abrasive, and there have been rumors that she is cheating on her husband with our other also married classmate. I don't know if these rumors are true or not. I don't like her, but I don't want that to make me put my nose where it doesn't belong. What I do know is that she was at a bar touching and kissing a guy who was neither her husband or our classmate and that they left together. I know she didn't see me there because I was upstairs and she was down at the bar area. It was really obvious that they were together. I know it isn't my place to say anything to anyone, but I feel really guilty for her husband, and I've found him on Facebook, Instagram, and he looks like a good guy, and I guess if it was my partner cheating, I would want to know. But if I tell him, it hurts her and her baby's family life, and really it is none of my business. What do I do? Nothing? Something? Edit. Our course has ended. We have all graduated last week. At most I would send an anonymous message. Too long, did not read. I know someone is cheating. Not sure if I should say anything to a stranger about their wife. Anonymous tip, but make it factual, times, dates and actions. Please tell him he deserves to know. Since you don't know what her marriage is like, or her life for that matter, stay out of it. The mouth is the source of all misfortune. If I was him, I'd really want to know.